particular, resonated painfully. A description of September 11th as "some people did something." Those 5 words were perceived by many as a betrayal of memory and honor, reopening wounds for families of victims and first responders still living with trauma. Maliotakis and McLean's speeches were not just words. They were an echo of collective American outrage, a declaration that leaders must reflect the dignity, reverence, and responsibility demanded by their office. For those who heard them, the vote was more than procedural. It was a reaffirmation that America remembers its history, honors its heroes, and holds its representatives accountable. This hearing became a symbolic moment where Congress asserted that national principles are not negotiable, and that words, especially from those in power, carry lasting weight.
Colleagues, the reasons why the Representative Omar should be removed from this committee, but I feel like all the reasons have not just yet been stated, which is why I rise to add to the record. We've heard about the comments that were made regarding anti-Semitism and anti-Israeli views, but I rise to add to the record that as a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, I've sat there and heard the representative actually spew anti-American rhetoric as well.
When Nicole Maliotakis addressed the chamber, she did so not as a politician, but as a citizen defending her country. Calm yet resolute, she laid out a pointed case against Ilhan Omar's conduct on the Foreign Affairs Committee. She highlighted how Omar repeatedly criticized America's allies, questioned Israel's legitimacy, and drew comparisons between the United States and terrorist organizations. Lines of rhetoric no public servant should ever cross. Maliotakis emphasized that Congress is a platform for service, not a stage for personal ideology. Her message struck at the heart of national unity. The American flag symbolizes sacrifice, freedom, and cohesion, not division, grievance, or blame. Her words brought a renewed sense of clarity and moral grounding to a chamber long consumed by partisan noise, making it unmistakably clear where accountability begins and where allegiance to the nation must stand.
I've been in that committee room where the representative equates Israel and the United States to Hamas and the Taliban. Absolutely unacceptable for a member of that committee. I've also heard the representative equate that it is the United States' fault that there is turmoil in Venezuela. That is not because of the oppressive socialist and communism that has spread throughout Central and South America and Venezuela at the hands of the Maduro and Hugo Chavez regimes. That is unacceptable. And as a New York representative, to hear the representative belittle, try to diminish.
The grievances laid out against Ilhan Omar were comprehensive and well documented, leaving no room for spin or speculation. Nicole Maliotakis took the floor and methodically recounted incidents that revealed a troubling pattern. Omar had accused America of fueling global conflicts, minimized acts of terror, disrespected allies, and dismissed the sacrifices tied to freedom. Whenever challenged, she often hid behind identity politics, framing criticism as prejudice. That defense held no weight in Maliotakis, and Land presented a factual record, showing that Omar's statements and actions increasingly diverged from the responsibilities of her office. This wasn't personal. It was about accountability and the duty to uphold American values. Their message was unambiguous. Serving in Congress is a sacred responsibility, not a privilege to wield ideology unchecked. Their speeches resonated as a reminder that honor, courage, and shared ideals still matter in politics, and that any attempt to disrespect the nation will meet firm consequences.
The worst terrorist attack on United States soil on September 11, 2001, as some people did something, that is unacceptable as well. And I hold the same standard for this side of the aisle that I do the other, because when another colleague on my side said something about 9/11, I also voted to have her removed from the Education Committee because I thought that was inappropriate. So I'm being consistent here, and I hope my colleagues will do the same to show that this is about consistency and accountability.
The chamber held its breath as the vote approached. Tension thick in the air. Every lawmaker understood the stakes, some nervous, some resolute. When the gavel fell, the verdict was decisive. Ilhan Omar was removed. This was more than a procedural act. It was a statement to every American that accountability still mattered in Congress. The applause that followed transcended party lines. patriotic, reaffirmation that principles could still unite, even in a divided political landscape. The decision rippled immediately across social media, newsrooms, and homes, eliciting feelings of relief, pride, and vindication. Nicole Maliotakis and Lisa Mann emerged as emblems of true leadership, fearless, principled, and loyal to the people rather than to partisan games. Their actions reminded Americans that one courageous voice, grounded in truth, can make a difference, and that collective voices can shape history.
Because we should not have an individual with those views on the committee that is tasked with representing our country and our Congress to foreign nations. I yield back.
The gentlelady yields back.
Gentleman reserves. Gentlelady from Michigan is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And to use that logic, well, then all those people should have just said sorry and we'd move on, right? But no, we don't do that. And let me tell you, I take a little bit of offense to what the hell is wrong with me. I'll tell you, there's nothing wrong with me. I took an oath to defend the Constitution, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Again, I'm not going to apologize for it.
While Ilhan Omar's removal marked a significant victory, Maliotakis and Land made it clear the border struggle was far from over. Others in Congress still echoed Omar's divisive rhetoric, viewing America as a problem rather than a solution. This movement, they emphasized, wasn't about a single individual. It was about reclaiming the soul of the nation. Conservative leaders stressed that America could no longer tolerate rhetoric dressed as progress that undermines unity. Their call was clear. Elect leaders who stand proudly for their country, honor the flag as a symbol of unity, and refuse to apologize for patriotism the day yesterday ended. The message reverberated far beyond Capitol Hill. Omar's removal became more than a political act. It was a cultural reset, a reminder that courage, conviction, and accountability can still prevail against division and complacency.
I'm going to hold the Constitution, and it's very simple. We really shouldn't even have this debate. If you break the law and you follow due process, there are consequences to your actions, even if you say sorry. So we can try all of the diversion tactics that we would like. It doesn't change the fact that someone broke the law and that someone should be held accountable.
The aftermath of Ilhan Omar's removal sent shockwaves to Washington. Lawmakers who had stayed silent were suddenly forced to take a side, stand with America's values, or defend someone who repeatedly questioned them. The halls of Congress buzzed with reporters, tension palpable from office to office. Nicole Maliotakis and Lisa Mann emerged as symbols of principle, walking out with heads held high, not as victors of politics, but as defenders of accountability. Across the nation, Americans were deeply engaged. Veterans, first responders, and everyday citizens flooded social media with gratitude, seeing the removal as justice for the words that had long hurt them, particularly those of 9/11 families. While Omar's supporters framed her as a victim, many viewed this moment as long overdue accountability, a signal that Congress still listens to its citizens. Behind the scenes, the emotional toll was visible. Mann admitted standing up to the establishment was not easy, while Maliotakis, a New Yorker who lived through 9/11, spoke with more emotion rooted in personal experience. Their conviction transcended politics. It was about patriotism, memory, and duty even after her removal. Omar refused to back down, claiming bias and painting herself as a victim. The refusal to acknowledge the harm caused by her own words only deepened the divide, proving Maliotakis and Land's point. Accountability requires admitting wrongdoing. Omar's pride became her undoing, cementing her legacy in controversy. The vote itself became symbolic. Every yes represented respect, unity, and loyalty to America. Every no exposed cracks in political courage. As names were read, citizens felt the weight of history pressing down. This wasn't just about one person. It was about restoring accountability in Congress. Maliotakis and Land demonstrated that true leadership is not about popularity or partisanship, but about principle. They showed
It is disappointing, Mr. Speaker, that their own party can't hold them accountable, that they have such hypocrisy. So with that, I yield 2 minutes to my friend from New York, Nicole Maliotakis.
Gentlelady is recognized for 2 minutes.
The aftermath of Ilhan Omar's removal sent shockwaves through Washington. Lawmakers who had stayed silent were suddenly forced to take a side, stand with America's values, and defend someone who repeatedly questioned them. The halls of Congress buzzed with reporters, tension palpable from office to office. Nicole Maliotakis and Lisa Land emerged as symbols of principle, walking out with heads held high, not as victors of politics, but as defenders of accountability. Across the nation, Americans were deeply engaged. Veterans, first responders, and everyday citizens flooded social media with gratitude, seeing the removal as justice for the words that had long hurt them, particularly those of 9/11 families. While Omar's supporters framed her as a victim, many viewed this moment as long overdue accountability, a signal that Congress still listens to its citizens. Behind the scenes, the emotional toll was visible. Land admitted standing up to the establishment was not easy, while Maliotakis, a New Yorker who lived through 9/11, spoke with more emotion rooted in personal experience. Their conviction transcended politics. It was about patriotism, memory, and duty even after her removal. Omar refused to back down, claiming bias and painting herself as a victim. Her refusal to acknowledge the harm caused by her own words only deepened the divide, proving Maliotakis and Land's point. Accountability requires admitting wrongdoing. Omar's pride became her undoing, cementing her legacy in controversy. The vote itself became symbolic. Every yes represented respect, unity, and loyalty to America. Every no exposed cracks in political courage. As names were read, citizens felt the weight of history pressing down. This wasn't just about one person. It was about restoring accountability in Congress. Maliotakis and Land demonstrated that true leadership is not about popularity or partisanship, but about principle. They showed that one voice backed by truth can make a difference, and that courage can change the course of history. The media tried to frame the story as political revenge, but Americans saw through it. Citizen journalists replayed their speeches, reminding the nation that words have consequences, even for those in power. Their actions sparked patriotic rallies across states, with flags raised and citizens celebrating what they viewed as a victory for national pride. This wasn't about exclusion. It was about love for the country and